this is the principle of collaboration. With the practice instruction, get over yourself. I'll start with an anecdote from someone I was working with a couple of weeks ago. He went to a party where he didn't know anybody, and most of the people there didn't know each other. And he reported feeling self-conscious. And we did a nice piece of work around some history that came up for him. But the main thing I want to offer here is a little bit of a hack for those situations. When we walk into a new environment, especially a social one, there are at least two parts of us operating. And this would be true for you as it would be for anyone else in the new situation. One is we want to connect, we want to be open, and we want to communicate in some way. And then the other side is setting boundaries, is making sure that the situation is safe, and is making sure people don't come too close in. Okay? And so the hack I want to give you that's related to collaboration in this presentation is that when you're in those situations, take the position that everyone else in the room is feeling even more insecure than you are. And the reason for this is it helps us get over ourselves. And it helps us to see that actually, when we're in situations that are new like that, no one actually cares what's going on for us, when we're going through our worst. No one is actually able to see that narrative that we're insecure and no one wants to meet us, or look how secure I am, everyone must want to meet me, or whatever our little game is that's going on there. No one cares. And so if we can hack that and realize, oh, everyone else has some version of this going on, it might make us a little more open to feeling like we can approach people in those situations. Now, bringing this to the practice of psychotherapy, collaboration has been studied as one of the more significant factors in what the therapist does to establish a therapeutic alliance with the client. And no one would argue that that's not a really important aspect. We can also begin a conversation about how clients could learn to collaborate better with their therapists. And the key question that could be asked is, how can I help my therapist help me better? In the blog version of this topic, I give a very brief, almost inadequate definition of what transference is in the therapy relationship. And I'll refer you there if you want a little bit more. But let me just make this a little bit more simple. Your therapist basically shows up with you for 1 hour a week or more or less, depending on what you're doing, but shows up with you for a very short period of time. And the other 167 hours, the therapist is doing other things. They're seeing other clients. They're having good days. They're having bad days. They're exercising. They're wondering if they eating the right foods. They're feeling self-doubt. They're feeling all kinds of things. And the point is, you have no idea what the therapist is doing for all the other hours that they're not seeing you. And what tends to happen in the relationship as a natural um, uh, uh, sort of part of the process is you will start to have ideas about who your therapist is, and you may even have fantasies about what that relationship could be in addition to that 1 hour. Again, it's a very natural part of the process. But my point is that if that's happening, that your therapist is talking over your shoulder in between sessions or something like that, um, you are constructing your therapist based on some of the here and now encounters you're getting with them weekly, and also through your historical frames, your historical relational frames um, that are coloring how you're seeing that relationship. So you're seeing your therapist both accurately and inaccurately. And so the developmental move I want to encourage you to take is something like the inverse of this. The therapist is only seeing you once a week, and they're constructing you based on what you're presenting, both verbally and perhaps not verbally. But they're also seeing you through their own frames. And so getting over yourself is actually taking the perspective of seeing yourself through the therapist's eyes. This has major implications because what you share and what you don't share actually contributes to how the therapist constructs you. If you're clear about what you want to share and clear about what you don't want to share, if you arrive to sessions with succinct communication around what you want to explore, for example, then your therapist will be constructing you accurately to that degree. And to the degree that you're not being truthful or not sharing certain things, the therapist could be constructing you completely inaccurately. So the wish, the parts of us that want to be seen could be seen completely inaccurately through the eyes of our therapist for a very long time, depending on what we share. So how can I help my therapist help me is a developmental question in the sense that it actually encourages you to take the perspective of, am I being understood clearly by my therapist? How am I arriving to the encounter in a way that helps my therapist help me best? Now, why does this matter as a skill beyond the therapy room? Well, we can assume, much like the original example of the party, is that people really don't have a significant insight into our interior. In other words, all the thinking of how we're being seen and how we see ourselves is unlikely to be the same from any individual person that we're in relationship with. It's no wonder that our relationships are so painful, feeling misunderstood and misunderstanding others all the time. And so practicing to take the perspective that, oh, no one actually really knows what's going on for me unless I explicitly share my interior process with another person, chances are that other person is mostly self-absorbed with their own interior process and kind of having their own version of not being understood. And so getting over yourself, the ability to take on additional perspectives other than your own, and to be very clear that we're actually not um, going to be fully understood by anyone else, can be very liberating, and can help us to be a little bit more ultimately forgiving to others for not understanding us clearly, and forgiving of ourselves as well. And finally, on my website, in the resources area, I've posted a short audio guided visualization on how to prepare for a session related to collaborating from the perspective of how can I help my therapist help me better. So I hope you enjoy that.